Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
I can't see because this particular control panel is occupying 25% of the screen space. If I minimize it, okay, fine. But how will I know if anything is lost? Options, remote control. Just a second, guys. Just a second. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So now I have, okay, like neurons, okay, our network. See, this is just a single layer, okay? Don't consider this is complete layer like that, okay? So consider this is a single layer now, okay? So now we'll be having n number of inputs, x1 to xn. And for each and every input, okay, weights will be assigned. And this weight will be unique across all the inputs. The same weight will never be assigned to the inputs, okay? This weight will be unique for all the inputs. And then what will happen before sending to one particular node, okay, what will happen is these two will be multiplied each other, like x1 into y1, sorry, w1, and x2 into w2, xn into wn. All right, and it will be interconnected with all the other layers, so it will process some value over here, and the output of this will be sent to some transfer function. So this transfer function is also called as activation function, and depends on the model that you work, this activation function differs. For example, if you are working with binary logistic regression, the activation function will be sigmoid. Or if you are working with some linear regression, the activation will be linear. And if you are working with something like, let's say, multi-class classification, activation function will be different. Okay, and then it will normalize the output. So like this, the several steps will be carried out, and finally the values will be sent to output layer, like y1, y2, and then yn. All right, so now what will happen here is, okay, it will check whether actual output is equal to the expected output. Okay, if both are not matched, the same process will be repeated by assigning the different weights for the respective inputs. Only the weight will be changed, input will be same. Okay, only the weight for each and every input will be changed. Okay, and the inputs will never be changed, it will be same. The same process repeated until expected output is equal to the actual output. Okay, this is just a single layer, I can say. Now for example, if I go to, okay, this one, let's take this. All right, so here we have something, right? Okay, let's take this one. Okay, it is like this. One second. Oh, 1 second. So it always comes on the right side, is it? All right. So now here you can see. So x1, x2, x3, xn, these are the input layers and these are the output layers. So in between, you can have any number of hidden layers like this. And each and every circle is there, right? It's all node. Okay, each and every circle is called as a node. Okay, and then each and every input will be assigned like this. Okay, each and every input will be processed by node. All right, and that is the process of, that is whenever the actual output and the desired output are not matching, the process of carrying backward, okay, carrying backward to update the weights is called as back propagation. Okay, is called as back propagation. So in that case, it will update the weight and the same process will be repeated. So here you can see there is some 2 hidden layers, and in some images here you can see there are some 3 hidden layers. So you can have any number of hidden layers. There is no limit in it. Okay, you can have any number of hidden layers, and you can carry any number of iterations, and also there is no limit in it. Okay, you can carry any number of iterations actually. So now coming back to this PDF, okay, now coming back to this PDF, so now here you can see, okay, now here you can see the applications of deep learning like self-driving cars, voice control, NLP, okay, and then image caption generation. So those are all the applications of deep learning. So guys, see now you can see if we increase the number of hidden layers, the complexity of the model increases, and we can solve n number of problems and we can improve the accuracy. Okay, if you increase the number of hidden layers, you can improve the accuracy of the model. See, with linear regression model itself, you can get 95 to 97% accuracy with respect to deep learning. Okay, just for linear regression. So with respect to machine learning, how much accuracy you can achieve maximum?
Ninety-five,
Guys?
96.
Yeah, we can achieve, but average accuracy I can say like 80 to 85. Yeah, average I can say 80 to 85. But with the deep learning, sure shot you can achieve like 90, 95% accuracy. Okay, so we have
That
several.
Mohan,
Yeah,
in that diagram where that linear regression it is getting applied, that after the weightage getting applied, then the next step is the regression model.
no. See, for any
Then
model, it is the structure. Okay, that is the architecture. That's how it looks. But it all depends on what activation function you are using, what
Okay.
accuracy you are using. Okay, it all depends on that actually. Okay, it all depends on this activation function and optimizer that you are going to use in order to update the weights. Okay, and what is the cost function that you are going to use. Okay, that tells which model you are going to use. That's it. Okay, but architecture applies same for any type of models.
Okay.
Okay, that remains. Okay, see, now we have, these are all the components of deep learning. Kernel initializers, okay, and then weights and bias, and
Mohan,
then
just to clarify, so
yeah.
transfer function or the activation function, basically it will be any machine learning model itself, right?
No, it is not machine learning model. It's like you have to say some algorithm basically.
Okay.
You have to apply some algorithm. So
Like
machine learning
sigmoidal
model will
function.
never come to that. Okay, So machine learning model will never come into the picture over here.
So, but when
Okay.
you say the linear regression also can gain 95% accuracy, so what does that mean?
No. Linear regression is the type of algorithm, okay, that
Huh.
can be
Yeah.
implemented in machine learning model also, and also in
Okay.
deep learning also you can implement. Just algorithm, right? See,
Yes.
we
Yes.
said
So
that.
it is a
See,
different way.
it's a different way. Like the solving the linear regression problem is in a different way.
So it has
Got it?
another set of libraries for that purpose.
We have not like how we can say, that is, we have separate libraries, yes. Okay, so we have something called TensorFlow, okay, and also we have n number of functions, like we are going to discuss about that, like activation function, cost function, like that, and then optimizer. Okay, so these four are very much important basically.
So using
Okay,
those
so
functions, we building our model.
deep learning model, yes, exactly. Okay, so we'll
So why
be
it doesn't have that ready-made linear functions like that, linear regression, like in the other modules?
so come again.
Now, why that linear regression, it works always the same, right? So why there is no ready-made libraries like that for this one?
No. Not ready-made libraries actually. The thing is, see, here we have a model. Okay, linear regression is a concept. Okay, linear regression is a concept. Okay, so we have linear function which is present in our library. Okay, so we will be using the linear activation function, all right, in this particular deep learning. All right, so this activation is there, right? We have something called transfer function or something, right? Okay, so this decides the output. Okay, this will normalize the output. For example, there is something called ReLU, that is rectified linear unit. Okay, so for example, if it is getting the input as negative values, it will normalize the input as 0. Sorry, it will produce the output as 0. So it will always produce the output greater than 0 only. If it is getting any input as negative, it will normalize the input, okay, and will convert to positive values always. Okay, so that is one of the activation function that can be used for linear active, that is linear activation function, or for non-linear activation function. Okay, and
Okay.
also
So
for linear.
what I was feeling like, if we that machine learning that I can, and that whatever we learned till now, that doesn't need much knowledge on statistics, right? But for the deep learning, if you have to implement something, we should be thorough with the statistics concepts.
No, not thorough like that. Okay, so you should know the some concepts basically, like gradient descent, those things. Okay, like
Okay.
ReLU, some linear function, like that you should know. That's it.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's what we're going to discuss over here actually. In the bottom. Okay, see, we have, these are the components of deep learning. That is, you can say these are the components, or these are the architecture, like that. Okay, so first one is nothing but kernel initializer. So this kernel initializer, it is used only to initialize the weights for each and every input. Okay, only to initialize the weights for each and every input. That's it, and it's only for the first iteration basically. Okay, for the next iteration, this kernel initializer will never be used. Why? Because it will be updated in the background. Okay, so that will be done by optimizer. Okay, only for the first iteration, we have to use this kernel initializer in order to assign some initial weight to the input. Further, that is in the subsequent iteration, what will happen is this optimizer will update the weight. Depends on what algorithm that we have mentioned in this particular optimizer. Okay, And then we have something called activation function that we will discuss. And then we have something called cost function. We can say either cost function or loss function. Okay, so what is the use of this? It will find the accuracy of your model at the end of the iteration. It will find the accuracy of the model at the end of each and every iteration. And based on the measurement which is produced by this loss function, weights will be updated by optimizer. That is, it tells how far, okay, we are from the actual values. Okay, how far we are from the actual values. That is the use of loss function. So now let's see one by one. Okay, so kernel initializer, it is used to set the initial random weights of inputs. That is over here, W1, W2, like that. Okay, so remember in NumPy we used so many array initialization methods, if you guys remember, right guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that is ones, zeros,
One's identities, yeah.
yeah, exactly, ones, zeros, and then random. Okay, so those will be used as the input to this particular kernel initializer. If you set it to zeros, all arrays, sorry, the entire arrays will be initialized with the zeros. If you set it to ones, all that the particular array will be set it to ones. Okay, so mostly we'll be using random underscore normal and random underscore uniform, like that. Okay, that is the purpose of this one. And then we have activation function. These are also called as transfer functions. So it completely depends on mathematical equations which is used to determine the output of a node. That is, what do you mean by node? What do you mean by node? That is, each and every circle is a node. Okay, each and every circle in this particular hidden layer is a node. All right, so it is used, one second, let me close this. Yeah, so it is used to normalize the output. Okay, and you can see this function is attached to each neuron in the network. Each and every node is a neuron. Okay, each and every node in that particular artificial neural network is nothing but neuron. Okay, so it helps to normalize the output of each neuron. So these are all types of activation function. I can say tanh, I can say linear, I can say ReLU, I can say leaky ReLU, I can say sigmoid, I can say softmax, I can say swish. Okay, swish is not under implementation. This is a new activation function from Google, so this has to be used. This has to be used. Okay, so if you use tanh as an activation function, your output ranges from -1 to 1. Okay, your output ranges from -1 to 1. If you have the activation function as linear, your output ranges from -infinity to infinity. Okay, and if you have
Just
something
one basic question.
yeah.
So when we say activation functions, will they be actually actual Python definitions, or how is it?
Python definition means like
I mean, it's a function in Python.
no,
Method?
it's not a function in Python. No. So basically, what they would have done is they would have written the function in Python. Okay, but it
Yes,
applies.
yes.
It applies the algorithm only. See, for example,
Yes, yeah,
we
yeah.
have a fix of something, right? Okay, in machine learning model. So these are the
Yes.
functions written in Python, depends on the algorithm.
Okay.
Okay,
So
depends
we
on
would
the
have
algorithm.
all these predefined functions
Yes,
written, which we can make use of.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if
Okay.
you say, see, this ReLU is used mostly nowadays.
Okay.
Okay, the ReLU is the mostly used activation function. So it always produces the output from 0 to infinity. It always avoids the negative values. Okay. And then leaky ReLU means some negative values are allowed. Like it is not like linear. Okay, leaky ReLU means some slight slope of negative values to infinity. Okay, but it is not mostly used actually. And for like if you are solving binary classification, then activation function should be sigmoid. Okay, if you are using binary classification, then the activation function should be sigmoid. And if you are using multi-class classification, activation function should be softmax. Okay, so this Swiss is not yet implemented still. Okay, it is just in the documents basically. Okay, so that's what. So here we have everything here. That is binary step function, linear activation function, non-linear activation function. Okay, so that is when you want to use linear activation function, whenever you are going to solve linear regression problem. Okay, only then you have to use activation is equal to linear, like that you have to say. For other cases, you can just use non-linear, that is ReLU function you can use actually. Okay, and then we have the cost function. So cost function is used to find the error. That is, it is used to determine how accurate your model is trained. Okay, that is y1 dash, y2 dash, y3 dash. So the difference between these two are e1, e2, e3. Okay, so for regression problems, as usual, you have to use MSE or MAE. Okay, mean squared error or mean absolute error. You guys know about this. And then for classification problems, we have something called cross entropy. That is used to measure the distance between two probability distributions. So based on the probability, okay, it will be considered. For example, for binary classification, you have to use binary cross entropy. Okay, and for multi-class classification, you have to use false categorical cross entropy. And then here also you can use confusion matrix, accuracy score. Okay, so this will give you the accuracy score, and then matrix is used to give the accuracy actually. Okay,
So what is it? Entropy?
Entropy is an algorithm basically. Entropy is nothing but some algorithm. Cross entropy is nothing but it is an algorithm. See, for example, consider two classes we have. Okay, we have something called good and bad. That is depends on the data. You have to classify either good or bad actually. Okay, so your output will be like this: probability of good, comma probability of bad. Okay, that is for good it will be 1, 0. For bad it will be 0, 1. And if you want to find cross entropy, you have to follow this particular problem. That is yn into log of yn dash.
Some distance. So this is also some distance between the numbers. So there is some Euclidean distance also there, right?
Sorry.
We talked about Euclidean distance between the data points, right?
No. That is different. That is KNN. But for binary, we didn't do that, right? But here they will not calculate the distances.
So okay, as per the definition above. So it says the probability used to measure the distance between two probability distributions.
Yeah, but that is not Euclidean distance. Okay, so here we have to use this log of yn dash. That is sum of yn into log of yn dash. So this is nothing but distance basically over here. But if you take Euclidean distance, that is nothing but square root of x1 minus x to the whole square plus y1 minus y to the whole square. That was the Euclidean distance. Okay, got it? Yeah, so basically this is a measure. Okay, so that is for MSE, MAE we have for regression, right? For classification, cross entropy is a measure. Okay. And then we have this something called optimizers. So these optimizers, which is used to change the weights for the input, okay, from the second iteration. Okay, these optimizers, it is used to update the weights for each and every input after the first iteration based on the matrix which is produced by cost function. Okay, that is, the flow is like this. So first input, for each and every input, kernel initializers will be assigning the weight for each and every input. Then it will be finding the product of input and weight, and it will be sent to the node. Okay, so there the processing element will be carried out. All right, and then that is each and every node will be having an activation function. All right, so that will normalize the incoming input and will send the output to the next layer. So it goes on and on until we have the number of hidden layers, and then finally it will check, that is at the last layer it will check the output by measuring, okay, using this particular matrix like cross entropy for classification, and then MAE or MSE for regression problems, and that will produce some accuracy.
So
Okay?
when you say that
Yes.
hidden layers means it is as per the, for whichever be the activation function we are using, it has certain level of hidden set of hidden layers.
No. So we will be clearing the hidden layers. We will be
Okay, it
having
is
any
the,
number of hidden layers. Yeah.
oh, that is the actual logic that gets executed, algorithm that gets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So we have to write that up. Okay. So we can have any number of hidden layers basically. Okay. So it like there is no limit for any particular thing actually. Okay. So and then there is each and every cost function will produce some output. Okay, will produce some output, and then what happens? So depends on the error, that is depends on the loss or depends on the accuracy. Okay, depends on the accuracy. Okay, the weights will be updated by optimizer. So we have various types of optimizer, that is BGD. So this is nothing but traditional gradient descent method. Okay, so basically it will, that is, in order to update the first parameter, that is, in order to update the weight of the first parameter, it has to process all the training samples. Okay, that is of BGD. So consider I have 60,000 training samples. Okay, so in order to update the weight for training sample 1, okay, it has to process all the training samples. Only then it can update the weight of the one training sample. Okay, that is nothing but BGD. Then we have MBGD. So MBGD is nothing but mini batch gradient descent. It will divide the data set into chunks. Okay, like 64 per batch size, 128 per batch size, or 32 per batch size, like that. So it will start updating the weight once it processes that particular 32 training samples or 64 training samples. That is, one batch is completed. Okay, so if it completes one particular batch, it started updating the weight actually. And then SGD, stochastic gradient descent. That means after each and every training data sample, the weight will be updated. Okay, after each and every training sample, the weight will be updated in the backend.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Then next one, we have something called momentum, gradient descent with momentum. That is, depends on the error. See, for these particular algorithms, errors will not be considered. Okay, errors, that is the metrics will not be considered for updating the weight. But gradient descent with momentum will consider exponentiation of the outputs. So depends on the output. Yes.
So the first three up to SGD, they are random, is it? How do they update then? Because you said it will consider accuracy and
Yeah,
update.
it is random. No. That is
Okay.
See, we will be using Adam only always. Okay,
Okay.
because that is the most thing is being used nowadays.
Okay.
All right. So for Adam, the functionality is like that. Okay, it will consider RMS propagation, that is root mean square. It will consider. Okay, if it is a regression problem, and if it is a classification problem, it will consider accuracy score. Okay, so depends on that. It will take care. Okay,
Yeah.
so only this one, momentum and Adam, only these two will consider the error scenarios. That is those metrics. Okay, so the thing is, weights.
One case, this deep learning, it cannot be used for the clustering.
Clustering also it is being used actually. Yes, it is being used.
Because we don't have any accuracy thing associated with that, right?
Yeah, but it is being used actually. That's what I have here, but I have never used it. But clustering it is being used. The thing is, it will just go through several layers in order to classify the images. That's it. That is it to group the images. That's it. So nothing else. Like the thing is, it will not classify basically. Okay, because we don't have label with respect to clustering, right? Okay, so and also we don't we will not be having the cost function associated with that. Okay, but clustering can be used with respect to deep learning. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So with respect to Adam, root mean square propagation is being used. That is, it is like momentum plus RMS propagation. Okay, so it's a combination of momentum plus RMS. There is nothing but ADAM, that is adaptive moment estimation. Okay, then we have some techniques like learning rate and then dropout and all. Okay, so learning rate means like how our model is learning on each and every iteration. Okay, so here we have something called epoch. Epoch means the iterations, like number of iterations basically. Like epoch 1 means first iteration, epoch 2 means second iteration, like that. Okay, so for each and every iteration, there will be some plot which will be generated automatically when you use TensorBoard. TensorBoard is nothing but it's like a tableau dashboard, we can say. Okay, so which will produce the learning curve. Okay, for example, like whenever the iteration continues, the loss should be reduced. Okay, whenever the loss decreases, the accuracy becomes increased. Okay, so the learning curve should be something like this. Okay, so considering loss in x-axis, sorry, loss in y-axis, this is number of iterations. Okay, this is number of iterations. This is nothing but loss. Okay, this is nothing but iteration. Okay, so the learning curve should be like this actually. Okay, it should not be something like this, something like this, like sine curve. That means your model is not at all learning, because it is coming down. That is, the loss is coming down. The next iteration is going up. Again, it is coming down, is going up. It is coming down, is going up. So that means your model is not at all learning. So you have to take your parameters. Okay. And there is something called dropout, which is nothing but some regularization technique. Okay, so here we have some nodes, right? Okay, here we have some n number of nodes. You can see triple dot over here. Okay, so in each and every iteration, some nodes will be dropped randomly in order to speed up the process and in order to improve the accuracy. Okay, some node will be dropped randomly. It is, so it is not like you can decide like that. Okay, so you have to say like what is the probability you can drop a particular node like that. Okay, but in iteration 1, if drop, like if it is dropping node 1 and node 2, in iteration 2 those two nodes will be used and drop, it will drop 3 and 4 nodes actually. Okay, so sorry, third and fourth nodes actually. Okay, so we are not sure about it. Okay, so we have to just set the parameter. Okay, we have to just set the parameter like what is the probability of dropping the particular node, like that. Okay, all right, so that is nothing but dropout. Okay, so yeah, so these are all you can go through actually. So this is the data dimension basically, like TensorFlow. Okay, tensor means it's a data, flow means how it is going. See, for example, this is input, this is weight, and this is nothing but matmul application. Okay, sorry, matmul function, that is matrix multiplication. All right, and then it's nothing but see, for example, x is, let's say it is like some 4 by 4. Okay, w will be something like 4 by 4 matrix or 3 by 3 matrix, something like that. So you know how that matrix multiplication will works, right? So rows by column, like that. Okay, so it will be evaluated, and for each and every multiplication this bias will be added. This bias either will be 0 or by 1 actually, by default it's a constant. Now for example, if you say y is equal to mx plus c, right? So if you want to know in that particular terms, x is nothing but input, w is nothing but slope, that is m, and b is nothing but c. Okay, so y is equal to m x plus c. Okay, so that is the base equation that is being carried out over here. That is in order to assign the weights and then bias to it actually, and then it will be added and then it will be transferred to ReLU activation function. So this is just a simple flow basically. So this we call it as graph, data flow graph. So tensor means, okay, so you might have heard something called TensorFlow. Okay, tensor means is data. Okay, tensor means it's an array of multi-dimensional data. Okay, so you can have a data of any dimension. There is no something like that. So now you can see this is dimension of 6. Okay, 6 rows, tensor of dimension 6 comma 4, that is 6 rows 4 columns, and then here you can see tensor of dimension 6 comma 4 comma 2. Okay, so here you can see but here it is wrong actually, this is 4 comma 4 comma 2. Okay, so this is 6 like we'll be having 6 rows. Okay, we'll be having 6 rows and then 4 columns, and then each and everything will be having 2 columns actually. Okay, so like that it will be like that actually. All right, so guys, clear? We will see some examples in this.
I lost the connection in between for 2 minutes. Mohan?
Oh, okay, so over where?
Yeah, maybe when you started with the TensorFlow.
Okay, see, TensorFlow is a thing, but it's a tensor means it's a data. Okay, it's an array of multi-dimensional data, we can say. Okay, so like you can see here the tensor of dimension 6, tensor of dimension 6 comma 4, and tensor of dimensions is 4 by 4, that is 4 comma 4 comma 2. It is not 6 comma 4 comma 2. This image is wrong actually, so it is like 4 comma 4 comma 2 actually. Okay, so it's like we'll be having 4 rows. In each and every row we'll be having 4 rows and 4 columns, sorry, 2 columns, like that. Okay, that's nothing but 3-dimensional data. So like whenever you give any input to convolution layer, That is convolution neural networks that we will talk about next. Okay, so over there, right? Okay, over there, right? We will be just providing the array of size like 28 by 28 by 1. Okay, so 28 rows, that is width is 28, height is 28, and the channel, that is the color channel basically. Okay, and then tensor means data, flow means it's a graph, that is how the data is flowing through the functions or nodes. Okay, how the data is flowing through each and every nodes. Okay, now say here, like this is nothing but input, this is nothing but weight. Okay, x can be of any dimension, y can be of any dimension, so this will be calculated based on that particular matrix multiplication concept. Okay, and then it will be added. Okay, and then bias will be added. Bias will always be constant. Okay, so mostly it will be 1 always. Okay, it will be constant always. So like if you want to relate in terms of linear equation, I can say y is equal to mx plus c. So y, this is x, this is m, and this is c. Okay, and then again she left. Susan,
I'm here.
but I heard,
No,
I
no.
saw the message that you left.
Even I saw the message.
Oh, okay, okay. So that might be the older one, I think. That is also, these guys has to improve actually. Okay, that is,
Yeah.
if you left, right, so it will give you some information after some time. That's fine. Okay, so now it will be added, and then this particular data will be passed to ReLU activation function. Okay, and this is the end actually. So this is just a simple graph basically. Okay, this is a simple graph. Okay, so guys, clear? So this document anyways I will share. Okay, so you guys can go through. Okay, so guys, any doubts in this? Any doubts? Okay, so we'll see some simple model. Okay, not simple model actually. Okay, so like this particular module needs to be installed. Okay, so that is image classification. Okay, so let me just write import numpy as np, and then I can just write from TensorFlow dot keras dot datasets. Okay, import mnist. So this is the inbuilt dataset. Okay, like if you install this module, right? Okay, you can install it in the backend, like pip install TensorFlow you can give. Okay, in the command prompt, just execute pip install TensorFlow. Okay, and then I can just give TensorFlow dot keras import sequential. So this is nothing but model. Okay, so as the name indicates, you can see sequential. That is, we will be write n number of layers that has to be executed one after another. Okay, and then I'm just writing from TensorFlow dot keras dot layers import convolution layer max pool layer. I will explain what is this layer and all. Okay, and then flatten layer, then dropout anyways I've explained, and then dense is nothing but hidden layers. Okay, dense is nothing but hidden layers. And what is this convolution layer and max pool layer and then this flattened layer? So this will come only for this, sorry, these two will come only for convolutional neural networks. So now let me go to images.google.co.in, and then I'm just typing convolutional neural network. So guys, everybody are able to hear, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
See, this
yeah.
is the architecture diagram for convolution neural networks. Okay. So this is the handwritten number, that is handwritten image 2. Okay. So this has to be classified either from 0 to 9. Okay. So this is the output layer and this is the input layer. Now we have one input. First, this input will be sent to convolutional layer. So this is nothing but convolutional layer. So what will happen in this? Okay. So let me see. Let me share my screen again. 1 second. Okay. So consider I have the data like this. Okay. I have the data like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Okay. Let me take just 2 data. Okay. Oh. Consider there is some 3 by 3 matrix. This is just for example I am explaining. Okay. Now consider I have some weights like this. Okay, that is initializer will do, right? Let's say 1, 0, 0, 1. This is my weight. Okay. So this is nothing but 2 by 2 matrix. So now what will happen from this 3 by 3 matrix? Okay, each 2 by 2 matrix will be taken. Okay, in convolution layer. That is, what is the first one? Okay, what is the first one here? 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, that is the first one. 1, 2, 4, 5. Okay, and what is the second 2 by 2 matrix? 2, 3, 5, 6. Then what is the third one? 4, 5, 7, 8. And what is the next one? 5, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so this will be taken like this, and each and everything will be, okay, it will perform element wise multiplication with respect to weights. Okay, that is 1 into 1 plus 2 into 2, sorry, 2 into 0, and then 4 into 0 plus 5 into 1. Okay, and this will produce one output. Okay, so what is that basically? 1 into 1 is 1, 0, 0, so 1 plus 5 is 6, right? And the next one, it will be like 2 plus 6 is 8, and the next one, 4 plus 8 is 12, and then next one, 5 plus 9 is 14. So this will be reduced to 2 by 2 matrix like this. That is nothing but convolution matrix, sorry, layer. And then we have something called pooling layer. That is, pooling, we have 2 different types of pooling. That is, one is average pooling, other one is max pooling. So average pooling means it will find the average of all the this thing. So it's nothing but 10, average is 10. So this 10 will be added. So this 3 by 3 matrix will be converted to a single element after pooling layer. If it is a max pooling, it will take maximum of any one value. There is, sorry, maximum of all these particular elements. So what is the maximum? Is nothing but 14. So more than average pooling, only max pooling is being used. Okay, so the image size will be 28 by 28 by 1. Okay, and depends on the dimension that I am mentioning. okay, that I am going to mention, okay, while building the model, the size will be reduced like this. Okay, like from here 28 by 28 by 1, it will be reduced to 24 by 24 by n1, that is channel 1. Okay, then from this particular thing, it will be reduced till 12 by 12 by n1. Okay, then you can pass this particular input through any number of convolution max pooling layers. There is no limit. Okay, so we are going to pass through only one convolution and max pooling. Okay, and once you complete this, there will be one layer called flatten. What do you mean by flatten? Okay, so finally you'll be having some data like this: 10, 20, 30, okay, and then 30, 40, and then 50, and then 60, 70, and then 80. So finally we'll be having m by n, that is 3 by 3. Okay, let's say something like that. All right, it can be of any size. Okay, it can be of m by n basically. Okay, now whenever you say flatten, what will happen is it will be converted to columnized vector. Like, what is this? M by n is 3 by 3, right? So what is 3 by 3? 9. Okay, it will be converted to 9 rows, 1 column. That is, it will be changed like this: 10, 20, 30, 40, sorry, 30 again, right? 30 again, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80.
Is it
That is
similar
the
to
output of
reshape?
flatten. Yes, exactly. It is reshape only. Flatten will do reshape. Okay, that is flatten. Okay, and this will be sent to each and every hidden layer. So over here I have 4 by 4. Okay, now it will be reshaped. Okay, it will be reshaped to 16, 1. 4 into 4, 1. Okay, all right, and then finally we'll be getting the output. Okay, this is the convolution neural network, which is used for image classification. Okay, now let me just see some demonstration on this. Okay, so first we are going to load the data set. So it is not required to use CSV and all, because we have inbuilt data set. So if you install pip install TensorFlow, right, you will be getting this also, no problem at all. Okay, so I can write xtrain, comma, ytrain. Okay, and then I can write xtest, comma, ytest is equal to mnist dot load data. Okay, done. Now if I say the shape, I can just say xtrain dot shape. You can see 60,000 records, and each 60,000 has 28 by 28 records. That is 28 rows, 28 columns for each and every 60,000 records. Okay, and then similarly xtest dot shape, you can see 10,000 records for test. So everything is inbuilt basically. Okay, if you install this dataset folder will be created, and over there we have n number of dataset basically over there. Okay, now if I want to see some of the images, okay, now if I want to see some of the images, I can just write from matplotlib import pyplot as plt. Okay, so I am just going to plot some 25 images, that is first 25 training images. All right, so I can say for n in range of 25, and then I can say plt dot subplot, and then 5 comma n plus 1. Okay, 5 comma n plus 1. All right, then I can just say plt dot image show, because each and every data is an image. each and every data is an image actually. All right, then I can write x train of n, okay, and then C map, color map is equal to plt dot get underscore C map of gray, because it is a white images actually, black and white images. Okay, then I can just say plt dot show. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Now you can see here. These are the images actually. That is, this is the first data, second data, third data, fourth data, fifth data, like that and so on. For example, if I say x train of 0, okay, you will get a lot of things like this. See here, this is one data basically. We will be having 28 rows and 28 columns. Okay, so if I say print of x train of 0, you can see 28 rows and 28 columns. Okay, this is just a single data. So this particular data is for the image 5. This value data is for image 5 actually. Okay, so guys, any doubts so far? Guys,
That x train of 0 is the binary representation, is it?
yes, pixel representation. Pixel representation. Like it varies from 0 to 255. Okay, there is each and every value is some see, this is nothing but some black, something like that. So there is see, wherever I have the values, right? So there will be having some values like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So guys, you want to try this out? Did you guys install
Sure.
that TensorFlow?
Yeah, done.
Okay, so let me just copy this. Please try it out and let me know once it is done. What about other two? Susan and Ranjit?
Yeah, for me, actually, the TensorFlow is downloading only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mohan, done for me long.
All right.
How big is the file?
Which file?
TensorFlow package?
It's more
It's
actually.
342 MB.
342 MB.
Yeah,
I installed it long back, man. Actually, I couldn't remember the size.
yeah, it is taking time actually.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, even I had installed long back. So, okay. Susan, maybe she can tell the size.
Susan?
Yeah, it is not a download. It shows 342 MB.
Oh, okay. Fine. So you can try it later point, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So who is trying actually? Ranjit, is it?
Yes, Mohan.
Okay.
Yeah, done.
Okay. So now let's reshape the data. Okay. That is, whenever we send the data to convolution layer, right? I should be having some channels over here, which indicates the color scale. Okay. So if it is 3, nothing but red, green, blue. Okay. If it is 1, nothing but grayscale, like that. Okay. So we can provide something over here, that is reshape the data to have a single channel.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.